Sus fabricadoras de aparatos de carisma y televisores, las maestras de ventas, entre las bici y el éxito de vida.
People often ask, when you're playing music, what are you feeling, what are you thinking and things? And the answer is usually rather disappointing. Nothing. And that is rather important in music, actually. Of course music expresses feelings, it expresses situations, it expresses all sorts of different things. But in many ways the person who is producing the music is not actually producing it. The person who's producing the music is more of a channel for it than the source of it. The source of it, no one knows, or no one has a name for it. But I've never believed, even though I'm supposed to be a composer, I've never believed that we are the ones who create this music. I've always believed that inspiration or this music comes through us from a source which perhaps we don't actually know. We don't consciously know it anyway. The important thing is for the composer to get himself out of the way and not to be in the path of the inspiration and block it. So you have to pull yourself back and allow things to come. And then, as they come, chase after them and catch them. You always try your best, you try and do something, and you try and use your knowledge and your understanding to the best of your ability. But always certain chance elements will happen, certain accidents even will happen. And I think you have to be willing to accept those as little gifts along the way and make good use of them, not discard them because they're not what you planned. So, in the process of creating something new, it's important to allow what you might call chance events or chance elements to have their place as well. Yeah, I think something which is too strictly controlled becomes a bit too intellectualized in many ways and a bit cold. There's a thing in music which we call improvisation. Many people imagine that to be a completely free process in which you create something out of nothing. That's not actually true. Improvisation is working with specific material in the moment, which is particularly interesting, of course. There are certain types of music where people imagine that improvisation is completely free, and by saying completely free, they mean without any structure. There are many rules which you have to follow as you improvise in these different traditions. And this is particularly interesting because in many ways it is having to absorb on a very deep level and work creatively with things which are quite rigidly structured, which enables you to go beyond this structure and achieve a certain amount of freedom, which is much more difficult than just doing whatever you like, and produces some very amazing results in many ways. Nothing is difficult until we decide to make it difficult. So during the process of doing all of this, when I was studying these instruments, and as I do these experiments and things, I've never ever thought about, is it difficult or easy? So it never seemed to me either difficult or easy. It just seemed to be the only thing to do. All of these different cultures, they are indeed different cultures, but they're all looking at the same thing just from a different angle. So, being able to see the same thing through different eyes and from different positions is very helpful if you want to make some sort of creative use of it and to do something creative with it. If you're always looking at it from the same perspective all the time, it's quite often rather difficult to think of something new. Whereas if you're suddenly seeing it from another point of view, and from another point, from another point, that does help you to come up with new ideas, and it helps very much the whole creative process of giving birth to new ideas. Tradition, in the good sense of the word, is something which has gone through a long period of time, and it's maintained its relevance. Actually, if I'm honest, I would say that tradition per se is not what interests me. What does interest me is the concept of timeless value, or diachronichiaxia as we call it in Greek. That I find much more interesting. I mean, there are certain things, well, in my art in music, which I happen to know, but it would happen in everything else as well. But in music, there are certain pieces of music which seem to have come from a very long time in the past. They were relevant to people in those times. They're relevant to people today, and they will be maybe 500 years from now.